Now, police are investigating after a young girl was raped in a virtual reality video game. She was wearing a headset, so she wasn't physically harmed, but officers have said that she suffered the same psychological and emotional trauma as someone who had been physically attacked. Now, it's thought to be the first time in the UK that a virtual sexual offence has been investigated by police, but critics argue that this isn't a matter for police, especially when the forces are already as stretched as they are. What do you make of this, Tessa?
I think that when it comes to the boys in blue feeling a little stretched in 2024, this is a wonderful jazz hands. Hey, look at us doing all we can. We're even having to police the virtual world when actually the onus should be 100% on Meta. I went and checked out Meta's Horizon Worlds this morning, okay, where this girl, and I can well believe in a virtual headset, where everything, incredible minds have been rigged into making it feel like we are feeling a reality in our virtual world. I can well believe that she felt assaulted. The way in which it's intense. I went on some, get your body better or something, and instead of going to the gym and doing your usual lift the weights, this man strapped me into a machine, stuck one of those headsets on me and told me to fly through the clouds. It was horrific. I genuinely believed I was like crashing into birds and stuff. It was so intense. So imagine if I'm crashing into a man with an erectile. No way, I wouldn't want that. But the point is Meta should be policing. This game in question is advertised for 13 to 17-year-olds. Arguably, with their tech, they could be ahead of the curve in working out where the next tranche of nasties and pedos are hanging out.
OK, so you wouldn't put this on the police?
No,
actually
put it on Meta.
Meta. Now, a spokesperson for Meta did say that the kind of behaviour described has no place on our platform. They say, which is why all users have an automatic protection called personal boundary, which keeps people you don't know a few feet away from you.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, why would you program the ability to physically assault someone into that universe? I find that very strange. But even the term virtual crime, that's a paradox. The police are in the business of investigating actual crime. So virtual crime, unless we're talking about online fraud.
But hold on, you're online and you get harassed online by one individual.
The answer is the off button.
OK, but so you don't think police should investigate anything on social media?
The thing is, the girl in question, can I just point out, is under the age of 16. So this is squarely in, obviously, the Meta universe, but also where are her parents, right? This young girl is online and is coming off it traumatized because she's run into some degenerates that
but the game in question is for 13-year-olds, so actually she could potentially have been 2 years older than the limit.
But the point is, this is a matter, if my daughter, for instance, had this experience, the first thing I'll say is, get off it. They're horrible people on the internet. This is not a matter for the police. What are the police supposed to do? They can't police thoughts. I disagree with you. I think that Meta should be linking up with the police. If I click on an advert for Honey Nut Crunch and the next minute Facebook are targeting me with Honey Nut Crunchy experiences, are you telling me that they can't work out where the problem people are? Well, I mean, that's what happens anyway.
They're sitting on the data.
It's called cookies. Yeah, I mean, that happens anyway. But I mean, this is the thing is, the definition of rape is physical contact, sexual contact.
Yeah, but what about harassment?
This has not happened. This is not physical contact. This is in a online, in a virtual game.
But just because there aren't bruises
that
doesn't mean a crime hasn't been committed.
A crime has not been committed, according to the definition of rape.
OK, but I'm not saying that the rape has been committed if you can't convict them under that. But surely a crime has been committed if somebody feels that
crime isn't based on how you feel. Crime is based on the standard of law that we have. A crime hasn't been committed because it is not criminal to make someone feel hurty online. The answer is an off button.
That's not entirely true in the case of harassment. And if you look at the online safety bill, I think some of the issues will be addressed. You're right. For it to be a sexual assault, I have to touch you. To rape you, I have to enter you. But actually, there's a huge kind of grey area. And I do think it's incumbent upon crimes like this, and I do believe that we know rape isn't just about the physical attack; it's about the lasting psychological. Well, I mean,
the thing is, I think you touched on the actual problem at the beginning of this, which is true. Meta shouldn't have been able to program the ability to rape someone virtually.
And just to make it clear, they're asking 13-year-olds to jump in and join the community to feel the pulse of live events. Exactly what live events am I feeling the pulse of?
I think you have an issue with the marketing team there.
But I think
use of language,
though, isn't it?
The pulse of live events. Look, at the end of the day, no crime has been committed here. That's the bottom line.
OK, so hold on. and maybe Esther has a point here, Tessa. If you're on one of these virtual reality, I don't know how they work. I've never been on them, but they're
very claustrophobic. They're horrible.
I have no idea. But you're in one of these rooms with strangers, people you don't know. Somebody walks up and punches you in the face. Should you be able to call the police and tell on them?
I think that
first of all, you wouldn't do that because you punch them right back.
Not that I ever
knowing you,
violence.
oh please, knowing you, you'd be like,
eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. I've always been an Old Testament baby. But I do think that the police, while I believe this is them looking for attention, I think that it is incumbent upon them to test new boundaries all the time.
No.
Humanity is driving to new frontiers, whether it's scientifically or technically, and there should be collaboration between Meta and between other big tech giants and the police to work out where new lines are, because otherwise how do you raft new legislation?
No, if we're looking at sort of where boundaries are, that lies in the hands of our politicians and the law, right? The police are there to just enforce the law. I feel this is the thing. This is the problem that I have, because we're always talking about the police don't do their job, or they're stretched too thin and all of that. And then we're also saying, oh, you must push the boundaries. The police have enough to do than being occupied with pushing the boundaries. Your job as a police is to enforce the law. No crime has been committed here.
What you're trying to say, Esther, is when people commit immoral behaviours online, because it is online and because
church.
Nobody has been physically
hurt. Go to confession.
Okay, let's go back. Was it the European Cup?
Hold on. Are the police the morality? Are police there to police morality?
But I want to ask you a question related to online behaviour. When the England football team missed several penalties and there was racist abuse because some of the footballers who had missed were black, did you condone that later there was convictions?
A lot of the IP addresses, it was found from those people that were sending abuse.
There were convictions.
They were based in Ecuador.
Right.
So that was police investigation. But you've touched on an important point, because that is a crime, what they did. This is not a crime.
But my point is, once you establish new modes of behaviour through new technology, that is when we then need the law to play catch up. And one of the ways new legislation is making my point is through what police investigate.
You're making my point. That's what politicians are for. Politicians are there to communicate the boundaries that we should be setting as a society.
How do politicians know where the boundaries are?
If they're doing their job properly, they listen to their constituents. Again, we're talking about what the role of the police is, and the role of the police is simply to enforce the law.
Right.
If it is not law, the police have no business.
But Esther, if you have people online committing these acts, and there's no doubt about what they did online was absolutely hideous, if they are willing to commit these crimes online, shouldn't then the police
be on some register, monitored,
and
or
something? that would
that's preventative. But the thing is, if you saw someone behaving in a vile way towards a young child, you would expect the police to be proactive in how to prevent crime.
Indeed. So you do think?
But this is not a crime. This is not a crime.
What about paedophile pictures of inappropriate pictures?
That is a crime. That is a crime.
But you're being very old-fashioned and reactive about this.
What, by following the law?
No, because what I'm saying is collaboration between Meta, between the police, between vulnerable children means that you could get ahead of the technical curve and work out where the next problem is.
I think that's a very fair point. But at the end of the day, we're talking about the police here. The point we initially made was, first of all, Meta shouldn't have programmed the ability to rape anyone. But if you're going to use it as a form of preventative action to support the police in their work, that's a completely separate conversation.
They overlap.
But people are going into these metaverses to create complete new lives for themselves. Lives where they can, well, you may say that, but the younger generation are embracing this new way of being, I think. And part of that is to have close relationships with people. So you may want the ability to hug someone, to comfort someone, and people are wearing gloves now, so you can get that sensory ability. Your brain fills in all the spaces, so you can feel that kind of love and that embrace.
You sure you haven't been hanging out in a virtual world?
I know.
Unfortunately, you just know a little bit too much there, babe.
No, I've heard people speaking about it, and it does sound very interesting. But so if you're going to allow that kind of access, then obviously there are going to be people that will use it for horrible means, hitting somebody, for example, assaulting somebody. In which case, we do need to put laws in place.
But you're right. If you go onto that World Horizons game, it's a honeypot for pedos and weirdos, because it's advertised all sparkly and shiny, telling you to go and find the new pass with kiddies aged between 13 and 17.
No one is forced to go on these platforms. I think we need to establish that. I think we're having two different conversations here. If you're saying that Meta and the use of this kind of technology should be used to try and help the police in their preventative work to getting, future pedos or potential pedos off the streets, that's fine, and that's a completely separate conversation. We're talking about, should the police investigate investigate virtual crime. Virtual crime is a paradox. It
Here
is
is-
not, what we're describing, what is being described here is not a crime.
Here is a horrible, horrible question, and I'm going to pose it to you.
Thanks.
But there is an
Happy New
argument,
Year
and there
again.
is a certain Happy New Year. There's a certain segment of society that will think, actually, if we've got these horrible characters that want to do terrible things to young people, is it better that they can live out their fantasies online where nobody actually gets hurt than in real life?
This is a gateway. This is a way of identifying where the problem individuals sit. And actually, I think it's hugely naive, and I believe you're only saying that question because you have to in your impartial chair. It's naive to believe that we can't be impacted by abuse online. I think
would
they're called the
you do-
solicitors of trolling towards me online. I can't pretend it doesn't
Genuine
impact me.
question.
I just
What
want
would
to
you
get
do?
a call in quickly
Oh,
because
yeah.
we are running out of time.
Okay,
So
sure.
sorry, Esther. Betty from Essex, what's your thoughts on this? Is this something the police should be investigating, or do we just need to look after ourselves when it comes to virtual realities?
Hello, guys. I myself have a 9-year-old daughter, and whilst I try very hard not to allow her to be, in a situation where something like that might happen, you can't control absolutely everything. I also game online, and sometimes things come up, and I just think, Jesus Christ, if my daughter was to see this, I'd be really upset. What I will say in this situation is absolutely it should be investigated, because mental abuse is illegal, and in this case, somebody was mentally abused,
Traumatised.
in my opinion.
And listen, the police say so, absolutely. However, we have girls and women raped all the time and nothing is done about it. Our conviction
It's
rate for
awful.
rape is woefully low, and this is real physical harm.
Yes.
So when it comes to police resources, is this the right place for it?
Maybe there should be a different department that deals with this kind of thing, that has got a little bit more say in what happens in these situations. I think where women in the past have come forward and it's not actually been validated, their claim, they do actually hurt the other.
I feel like we're treating young people online a bit like they're on they're fishing, like a bit of a fishing expedition for these kinds of paedophiles and all. Because at the end of the day, it's probably easier to say, actually, these kinds of virtual universes shouldn't have the ability for people to be virtually raped, so that young people are not traumatized. I think that's a better argument than let young people go on it as a fishing expedition for paedophiles. Well, Meta shouldn't design a platform that has the ability to rape people.
But it's trying to be virtual reality, and in reality,
there are limits. There are some
do that.
realities that people shouldn't want to live.
But it's really interesting. I just wanted to know, Betty, have you ever tried
on.
Second Life? I just wanted to check out her gaming.
Okay, very quickly because we're running out of time. Betty.
Second Life?
My gaming is mostly on the Roblox with my daughter, or I just play with on my phone. And I'm very attuned to mental abuse, and I really feel sorry for this girl, and something needs to happen, because it is another way for people to target young children. And once you see something or feel something the way she has, it's very difficult to then forget about it.
I totally hear what you're saying with that, and it is a shame that I even have to ask the question about police resources. Thank you very much for your call. Thanks for all your calls on this. We are going to have to move on.